To continue with the half legacy, half modern era virtual card decks, I have a couple of Master and Apprentice themed decks. I'll start out with the Galen and Vader one. My brother was pretty into the Force Unleashed video games. I never quite did. I did get them for my computer, but I never seemed to be able to get it to work, and I guess I could try again. But the idea here, pretty similar to the original Hunt Down, removing Jedi from battleground sites and trying to get Vader, or in this case Galen or Vader, to a battleground site. Then you get a bunch of bonuses when you do that. This was kind of a complicated deck, but having Coruscant system in there and being able to control that with the Star Destroyer so rebels can't deploy to Coruscant sites was the main idea. And I forget how I was able to get all these cards out, but there was some, I don't know, when I read the text closer I would be able to figure out how I did that. But so an epic event that allows me to basically move around and come after Jedi a little bit easier. And then the cool thing about this deck, or at least the theme, was you essentially got to use different effects that are all give Vader different bonuses. So here he's able to choke people. But you can only have one out at a time. This effect, he can choke people. This deck, he's better in duels and lightsaber combat, it looks like. And he's better against Jedi. And here, he draws 2 Battle Destiny if unable to otherwise. So lots of different options depending on the situation. I can't remember. I think people used to call it Build a Vader. And it was I kind of got into the Legacy era after it was legally played in tournaments. But I think I remember that's what they called it. So a lot of effects here, a lot of cards on the table. That's definitely one weakness of the deck. Epic events too. I mean, this is all either starting cards or, cards that do you no good to have in your deck in terms of drawing destiny. But so you got Galen in here with his lightsaber, and the special Vader with his lightsaber. Being able to get out Mahdi or Tarkin or Tag or Vader. 4 copies of that was pretty important. Here's the key ship of the deck. So this kind of runs around with Juno Eclipse aboard, as well as Tarkin. So the idea here, with Tarkin on board, it adds a battle destiny because he's with Black Leader, and adds a battle destiny with Juno Eclipse piloting. So that's 3 battle destinies, and then the effect. If you have 2 cards with ability, a male and a female, add 1 destiny to total power, and the attrition against me is 0. So I'm probably going to win by power, and attrition against me is 0. So I'm probably going to, I'm basically adding 4 destinies to power, 3 to attrition. When you include the battle destinies in the mix, there is what it becomes, and then I have no attrition against me. So that is definitely a tough nut to crack if I can keep playing this interrupt. Maybe get them to grab something else. And if something does go wrong, I can use this if I have a copy of Galen in my hand to satisfy all battle damage and attrition against me. And here's the guy that I park at Coruscant system. So I park Pelion above the Coruscant system, and according to Coruscant's text, rebels can't deploy to Coruscant sites as long as I control it. A couple of stormtroopers for support. And just some stuff that helps out Vader. This card I probably don't need in here anymore. It's been blanked anyway, so it's not an official card. But winning a battle, being able to retrieve characters was the idea. A couple of senses, since I have high ability characters, cancel some interrupts, and then Coruscant sites. So kind of trying to spread out on Coruscant, do a lot of damage, make it hard for the opponent to come after you on Coruscant, and then if needed, maybe parking Vader on Coruscant and having Galen go out and hunt down the Jedi, or vice versa. Either one. Actually, probably makes more sense to park Galen on Coruscant. Plus, I got some pretty cool sleeves that I wanted to make a Vader-themed deck around. I think I got them from Japan, actually. It took a while for them to ship, but they look very nice. The other deck, Master and Apprentice-themed Jedi training. So this is training Luke on Dagobah, but in this case, I believe I'm training Leia. So Dagobah, and this basically allows you to use Jedi. It gives you a lot of restrictions, but your Jedi tests don't have to go in your deck. They can come from outside your deck. So you can't use maintenance cost cards or permanent weapon cards, but it spreads out your force retrieval with instead of having to retrieve 10 force once when you complete test 5, you retrieve 3 force every time you complete a Jedi test. And here's all the Jedi tests. I even put number 6 in there. Being able to deploy systems is big, because this is mostly a space deck. This is before they changed it, so you have to have an Endor site. But you got Luke, a lot of bonuses to Luke. And then this effect here, allowing you to take into hand devices, and also any devices deployed on somebody go to your used pile when the character is lost. Dagobah sites, Leia to be trained. Luke's backpack helps her out, so does Reflection. And Yoda, of course. This is a key effect to get out real soon to try to get Jedi Test 3 completed instantly. This is to help me get out Luke's lightsaber a bit easier, or at least get it out of my lost pile after I lose it. There's a lot of starship weapons in this deck, so this one's useful. As you can see, there's tons of effects and sights in this. It puts a lot of cards on the table, but really I'm only trying to get one character to battleground sites and see how he does. Plus there's a good decent amount of retrieval in this deck. Y-Wing's kind of weird to have them in the deck, but with the weapon destinies, that's why they're there, and these torpedoes are pretty good. Ion cannon as well, intruder missile. Trying to make my starfighters a bit more powerful when they shoot weapons. Power pivot to make starships go lost, or at least make them power 0. I've used this card a couple times hit and run, so I don't know, fire at the executor and kill it and then run away. And they have maybe one other ship left. Maybe that's not how that worked. I forget exactly, but it's fun to run away. And I think I have 6 copies of Luke in here. Yep. So he's the main one to get out. Hopefully they don't have a Monarch and make me lose 4 copies of Luke. But lots of devices, a couple of effects, and some helper cards here. And then she's in the deck just in, well, it's nice to have her as a pilot, but also if I'm playing against carbon chamber testing, I can give them a rebel and not have to give them Luke. So I wouldn't say I found that out the hard way, but I did read about carbon chamber testing around the second or third time I played this deck, and that would have been a pretty big bummer to have to turn over Luke and then not really have a ground presence. So this is a deck I've played a lot. Makes for some long games since it's pretty grindy and takes a lot of retrieval, but just the idea of training a Jedi was a lot of fun. It's got some nice Yoda sleeves too. So only a couple more decks for each side left. It's been fun to kind of go through these after some time and talk about what I was thinking back in a very, very different era of the game for me and my friend from what we now play. Yeah, maybe sometime we'll, if he has some of this style of deck left, we'll break them out and play. Thanks for watching. I hope you tune in for the next videos, whether they're my sealed pack openings or deck reviews or whatever else it is that I have going on. Thanks again.